Good day and welcome everybody to King of the Hill. This is a special one that's happening during the 1 million downloads event. Was voted for by the community, so it is happening. We've got a very huge game today. We've got 10 commanders in the middle, one more than the usual, but 107 around the outside. This is going to be an absolute menace for everyone involved. The unit cap is going to be massively divided between all these players, and chaos should ensue. Now, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, which considering it is the 1 million download events, there may be a fair few of you, this is what's going on. We do have a nice lava trench that's been provided by a chronographer that will disappear at the 10-minute mark, which is the end of the no rush timer. That gives you 16 lanes to attack into the middle, or 16 lanes for the kings to attack out of the middle. There's a couple of handicaps that have been put on, so the kings, considering there are so few of them, they have a plus 75% bonus. Considering this is a game of exponential scaling, that should be a huge bonus for them in the middle with that eco. Just bear in mind they'll get 75% more power from each wind turbine, and then 75% more metal from each of those converters, which is going to be a nice big jump for them. Around the outside though, all hope is not lost. There are so many peasants that we've been able to throw many players into each of these four corners. If they work together to share T2 labs and distribute T2, we're going to have a lot of resources available.
Already see some T2 labs coming up in the corner. I'll just explain that while you change your scene, Prey. So yeah, you get all these mexes to one player in one of these corners. You actually get your T2 up well quicker than the kings will in the middle of the map. The kings only see their resource bonus as they get to that T2 phase.
Exactly. The other things that you do bear in mind, we have air switched off, which means that we do not have to worry about putting the resources into that, and we do ask that structures are not used offensively. So that means if you've got a Juno and you're a king, feel free to Juno inside of the circle. If you've got a Juno as a peasant, feel free to Juno outside of it. Similarly, if you're building long-range defenses, make sure that they're not in range to target anyone's units. There is limited space and limited options here, so building those defenses can make things very difficult for both teams. Jumping into what we want to see out of these different positions. If you are in front of one of the ramps, I highly recommend either unit defenses or building defenses. These are going to be necessary to hold up the kings as they try to push out. Really important point to note is that there are 107 comms to start with on the peasant team. Stack the top of these ramps with comms if you want to keep them safe. Those D-guns are one of your best weapons. Even though the kings can get something like a juggernaut out nice and early, a D-gun takes 29,000 metal off of the map. If you're in the middle, you definitely want to be seeing a very strong economy, somewhere in the realms of at least a fusion, but with this 75% bonus, you would hope for at least 2 fusions, maybe an APHIS. That's going to be what your minimum requirements are in order to make it as a king. The other thing is to try and have each ramp at least somewhat defended. Remember not to build those defenses too early on in the match, because any resources that you spend in the first 7 or so minutes could have been utilized to boost your eco just that little bit further, and could have gotten you just that little bit more of an edge. But you have to balance that build power as well. Joining me, Twig and Tank Tom. Tank Tom, are you in this match or are you casting with us?
Yes, I am. I am.
Very good.
Quietly trying to get my stuff up and running.
You dressed up
Very
pretty
nice.
in pink on the top left above Duffy, who is well into T2. You're into T2 as well. What is hurting me a little bit is we've got 2 kings in the middle compared to our usual 1 in King of the Hills, and they're not co-oping together. They're doing their own thing, and Nevog and Quarterton could have gone into a T2 lab together and punched out these T2 constructors a lot faster if they just combined that eco. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. That might be a deficit.
Not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world though, because when you do reclaim these labs, you will gain 75% more than what you spent on them. So
they'll get to T3 though in 10 minutes. 5 minutes
That
left.
is true. It will slow them down, but it isn't the end of the world. It's just a bit of a disadvantage. Still, there are plenty of strong kings here. We do know that the Grump clan is very strong. We've seen phenomenal plays out of Shadow in the Sky. Tank Tom has some real consistency in this one. Cookie Duffy is just a force to be reckoned with. So we should see some very good plays out of this match. And
know
out
that
of the
go through his
peasants
head. He's
too,
sitting
there
in
are
chat
some
with us.
plenty experienced. There are some plenty experienced peasants as well. I am seeing Emir, Classic, and a few others that we do see in a few of the regulars as well. Just zooming in on it, Taxman over there jumps on in with us most weeks. So we do have plenty of power in the peasant side of things as well. And with those numbers and with those comms, this is going to be a really hard fought one for the Kings.
What you're going to see in this map, which by the way is a modification, of course, of Raptor Crater. Usually this is a crater. It's been turned into a hill using some commands from Chronographer, one of the players that might be in here with us in the game. Not sure, but Chronographer has modified this. So it also has lava that disappears at the 10-minute mark, creating that 10-minute no rush timer through the geography. Oh, we've got one of the rule breaks. We've got a gauntlet on the hill that can reach those mexes. This is one where we've decided not to tweak the units. Usually for all the regulars, they know not to build these up here, but it's just too easy to kill the Kings if static defenses can be used offensively. I think we'll see
that has
disappear.
been removed, so slight bit of a slowdown for Cookie, but that unit has been pulled off of the map. Does look like we've also got someone getting ready with some shell shockers on the top left of the map. Thankfully, with that shorter range, they're sitting outside of the defenses. There could be a slight problem as things come up over the next 3.5 minutes, but we will see. One of the things that I'm seeing around the map, and this is going to be a problem for quite a few of the players, a lot of players are trying to get T2 labs. If you look at the top left-hand corner, the middlemost bastion, we've got a T2 lab that is a long way away from finishing. T1 lab still there, and hasn't been reclaimed. And this is the sort of area where you need to work together as a team to push those T2 cons out for all of the players. Only get one lab for each player. Everyone can reclaim their T1s to put into it. You will get the money back if you do it early enough.
Yeah.
I do believe we've got the first hints of some fusions going down. In the bottom left-hand side, it looks like Classic just about to get their fusion up and running at 15% to go. And I do believe one was just placed down in the top right-hand side. That one's also about 10% off. So really good play out of a couple of these corners, getting that eco up nicely. But looking in the middle, we already have quite a lot of eco running for these players in the middle. Pourmont's going into a couple of those advanced wind turbines. These things produce 10 times the amount of energy that a regular turbine does. So 145 energy coming out of one of those now, and that is steaming him forward over to that fusion. Would definitely eat that T2 lab to get enough for it, though you would need to put down a metal storage to have that one up and running.
I think, Tom, you've gone into some of these quad guards. We haven't seen these used in King of the Hill before, but they should do quite nicely at taking out any T1
I
spam.
have just seen that they existed.
Yeah, they
The interesting thing
And
is,
I make the most of them.
a quad guard is 300 metal, and if you compare that to a twin guard, which is 195, you get a lot more defense for the cost of your defense.
Oh yeah.
So I do quite like those ones, though I wish we saw something like a double beamer or a quad-barreled beamer. That would be phenomenal.
That'd be nice.
Does look like we've got someone shelling down from the top left. Bulbous, just going to make sure you wait till that 10-minute mark before attacking. Just because you can get units up there doesn't mean that you should get units up there just yet. This is one of the small problems with running these during some of the events, but it does get taken care of quite quickly, and we'll be back underway in just a moment. And the nice thing is, after the 10-minute mark, there is no real way of breaking the rules, because the rules open up nicely, and it is all about attacking each other. So hopefully we'll see a nice, good, even game starting there.
Probably the only thing that we do see is Junos getting used. We asked for Junos to only be used defensively. Obviously, only the people listening in are going to abide by that. I'm sure we'll see 1 or 2 rule breaks, but the mods will just go and delete those Junos probably if they're found to be shooting in the wrong spot.
Looking at Mazza putting down some defenses right now, one of the critical things to bear in mind with the defenses that you put down here, the pop-up turrets are good against T2 units, but based on what we've seen typically, and also what the resources that you're going to be seeing coming out of the peasants, the defenses that are best against T1, at least at the early stage, are significantly more important. So these beamers are probably going to get more done than the pop-ups. I do like to see a shield generator though, and some pulsars. This build queue will just take a while to put down, and will end up going through. I don't love the pardon?
30 seconds left, and there's not that many units out of the peasants.
We're getting caught up.
Yeah, it's there are 400. Oh, some are coming online. Nowhere near as many units as last week. We do have some fiends down here. I'm not going to say where, so that those listening in won't know. That's going to be interesting to see.
Yes.
And not a lot of units out of the Kings either. Everyone just coming online, but we do have T3 out of Duffy at 10 minutes. That is beast-like.
These assimilators are disgusting, just by the way. They used to be even more disgusting, but now they are not. And that is 10 minutes. The lava has dropped. The units are coming in, and it does look like we have 6 ramps that are going to be attacked rather heavily. The one I want to see, though, is these fiends. Can they break through? With a couple of these quad guards, a few of them will go down, but there is plenty of firepower to punch in here. And that second wave, I reckon, is going to be enough to break through. Thankfully, though, some units coming out from the king, and this is mostly going to be cleaned up. Looking around the map, though, it is the right-hand side that's in the most trouble. Shadow in the Sky is dealing with the T2 defenses T1 problems situation, where these Scorpions are getting a kill with every shot, but they're not firing it fast enough, so those ticks really did get in, and a lot of this defenses have broken. The Fringe is feeling the pain as well, but unfortunately some indecisiveness out of the peasants has allowed this attack to mostly be cleaned up. One of the things you have to do if you do manage to break through in any meaningful way is push and push some more, because it's going to be taking out the economies and forcing the Kings on the defensive that is going to make the most difference. Looking on the left hand side, the assimilators are jumping into the fight, with 5 of them starting to march their way up the ramp, and there is not a lot to defend this. As I did say before the game popped on, it is going to be the comms that are the first and strongest line of defense early on. They really need to be in position to deal with units like this. Spam is the way that you deal with those invisible comms, but there is not a lot of that around, so there's a great opportunity to pick up all of these assimilators that are bunched up nicely. Hopefully we see a bit of that. There is a comm, I think, moving to try to get in position, but it's going to be quite far away, and these assimilators are starting to spread out.
That is nasty. I don't think we've seen T3 at the 10-minute mark in this manner befefore.
We definitely have seen it in the form of Razorbacks or Demons, but the problem is, the difference then was that comms were sitting at the top of the ramp ready to take them out, and that isn't happening this time.
Not a good reaction. This is what I hate to see in King of the Hill, is when you don't help out your neighbour. Protect thy neighbour. So many players on the north and south of this player here could be coming to the rescue, not going into units and still building some economy. Some are reacting, not everyone. But everyone needs to react to clean this up. This is T3 against a lot of T1.
That is right, and the T3 is going to keep rolling. The critical thing is to hold them in the ramps. Once they start moving out from the ramps and spreading out, it can be very hard. Also, making sure that your comms are invisible before you send them in. If you send them in without cloaking them, you're going to be in big trouble. Does look like we do have a potential savior making its way through, but these ticks are now here, so you have to make sure you stay away from the ticks if they get into the... Oh, too early on that D-gun. You have to try and get into a position where you're going to catch quite a few of them before you pop that D-gun. Looking around the map again, it does look like there has been a good amount of stabilization in the top right-hand side. Lots of energy and resources going into defenses and walls. Do bear in mind, walls also cost population cap, and with 100 players in the game, the Kings have something around 300 total units.
I like what you're doing, Tank Tom. Instead of trying to push your lane, you're sending all your forces through the lane.
We have an opening, I'm going to use it.
It is the most efficient thing to do. We see quite often in King of the Hill, everyone just wants to win their lane. But if you've got a free lane to run up, go up that lane, because you're not going to lose any units to nothing.
Yep. And I think as soon as we're already in, you might as well push the advantage as hard as you possibly can.
Looking at the other side of the map, a couple of sprinters have managed to run the line and get themselves into one of the eco corners. No, there were some turrets here to reclaim them, but it does look like ticks are going to clean them up after they clear out a whole series of those energy converters. Good defense there, but there is going to be a big problem with this left side falling early. If any of these corners fall before 20 minutes, the peasants are in trouble, because it means the kings can expand outwards, take some space. They also have a nice launching platform to move on to the rest of the armies. On top of that, it also takes off defensive pressure, which means that those kings that have freed up their own lanes can start attacking other lanes. Big spider push coming in the top right hand side as we have recluses on the high ground. They are currently skirmishing with a comm. Thankfully, that comm did have some energy problems and wasn't quite able to get close enough for some good D-guns. So once these spiders start getting up here en masse, they should be able to push in decently. Hopefully we see a good unit response. Centurions out of Hot Potato making their way in for the defense, catching a good number of them right now. Centurions are reasonably tanky, so they can take some of this fire. Unfortunately, though, the catapult that was backing them up walked that little bit too far forward. Is going to survive, though, to clean these ones up. I do love the use of the spiders. Particularly in a situation like this where players aren't used to defending on these cliffs, but it does look like the players have come together to hold this top right hand side and allow the eco train to roll. The aggression is slowing down now out of the kings. Only a handful of assimilators still up on the left hand side, but a lot of damage has been done, so we're going to need some good recovery out of the peasant side to keep this one rolling.
I do love that we got a T3 already out of the top right hand corner to help defense against those spiders out of Jalaya. And you might think the kings are looking quite in a healthy position with lanes breaking down the bottom left, but you'd be wrong. Historically, unless you break out of multiple entrances at the start of the game, the peasants really do catch up on that eco. So although the kings have a bonus, they have limited space. They lose a lot of their eco to APM out of all things. They need to be focusing on all their lanes and defenses. And these corners you can see already 5 APHIS down the bottom right, and plenty of eco in all the others. They will catch up and overwhelm the kings eventually if the kings don't take advantage of their early breaks.
Not to mention, there is a population cap, and the kings will hit it very clearly, so the more the kings get overextended, the harder it becomes, because if their units are there for the offense, they're not there for the defense.
As you say that, I was trying to work out why nothing was building.
We just had a
population cap.
Really nice play. We had no counter intrusion out of the middle of the map, and some tanks got in and did a bit of conversion damage and build powder damage to Cereba on the right hand side there.
Thankfully, enough eco has been built to try and to offset that somewhat. Good pressure coming from the kings, though. There is not a lot of space for the rest of the players to come and help this falling side that has been run by Duffy. By ensuring that this side is shut down, by ensuring all the other lanes are pressured, this side is effectively shut down for the time being. But if you look into where the pressure is, it is only this bottom left-hand corner that is taking a lot of damage.
No, top
Everywhere
lane
else is doing quite well. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Assimilators into the top half of the map.
So with 2 entrances breached, that really does maybe mean the kings have a decent chance here. They can work their way around. As soon as you stop the scaling of eco in 1 or 2 of these corners, the kings have that opportunity to keep pushing and work their way around the map. There are still 67 commanders though out of the peasants. If you guys team together and get those in the right spot, you can clear up those T3 quite efficiently with those D-guns.
This is, I think, one of the risks of putting the extra unit pack on. The assimilator is effectively a Razorback with range, and unfortunately it does make holding these chokes a lot harder than it has been in the past. So even though there has been a few comms trying to deal with them, just that little bit of lack of positioning or knowledge on the stealthing command has meant that a lot of these have managed to break through and deal a lot of damage.
I don't actually see much coming to save the day in this top left because it's probably the least ecoed corner. Only 2 fusions are up in that corner, and there's no units coming out of the back lane, meaning these assimilators really only have to watch out for those comms.
If you compare that to the bottom right-hand corner, we do see 6 APHIS already up, as well as several fusions and a lot of wind. In the top right-hand side, 3 APHIS. I think the record we've seen by 20 minutes was was 28 APHIS in one of these corners.
Yeah, it's insane when you get co-op working properly. This bottom right is probably the chance for the peasants to win. So even though it's looking really healthy now in 3 different areas for the kings, all it takes is one lane to fall. As soon as one lane falls, there is nothing really stopping eco from chain reacting, units getting through and attacking all the other ecos from the rear.
And with 6 vanguards, there's a lot of opportunity to punch a lot of damage from range. The thing is, you just have to make sure you have the right units backing them up, and that does look like what's happening with those assimilators coming in. If those assimilators can keep a screen in front of the vanguards and spam can keep the vision running, then there should be a great opportunity to punch in. Because one thing to bear in mind with the peasants, it doesn't matter how deep you push into one corner. What you're doing is not affecting any peasant that you're not directly attacking. As the peasants, if you manage to break into the middle, you are in a position to grab everybody's eco, which is the problem that you have to try to avoid. The peasants only have to win in one area, the kings have to win in all of them.
This is the point right now where these middle players, KOTH and we got Novo, need to come online and help out this lane here. Zariba's under a lot of pressure from these assimilators, backed up by those vanguards. There's a bit of spam as well, probably not as much as I'd like to see, but these are getting dangerously close to pushing this eco, and there isn't much eco from this player with 1 fusion online.
Unfortunately, what they're doing is they're focusing on fighting the defenses as compared to focusing on breaking in. It's all well and good to be taking out units, but the reality is if you're not doing damage, if you're not pushing your units in to deal damage to the eco, then you're going to find yourself in trouble if any of these other players come online.
Massive hit in the corner of the screen, assimilators in, and there's still a couple alive. We might see a massive chain reaction shortly. Is this going to go central eco? Yes. Conversion down, build power down. Luckily with those T2 advanced construction turrets, they don't chain react like the T1s do. But still no reaction. We might see some more conversion go down. Nice done out of Just a Penguin. These have got a lot of damage. We've just found another conversion field, and I think this might be coming online, but there should be enough to reclaim this. Yeah.
If these assimilators can push right on in, not deal with the units that are chasing them, they could get some of these APHIS fields in the middle and really swing things back towards the peasants' favor. Unfortunately, they have to go for the large targets. They can't be chasing after these fusion reactors. Fusions are tempting, APHIS are explosions, but this is a nice open lane now, and it does mean that all offensive attempts out of Duffy have moved into defensive ones, which does slow down the bleeding. We still have half of the peasants up online, and we still have the corner that is the strongest that is trying to fight its way in. Also, the left-hand side, whilst it has taken a lot of damage, it is running with 3 APHIS, which means that there is still plenty of pushing power available here, so long as they can survive the next few minutes.
Got epic Kargis coming out of Portmont to try and clean up the rest of this corner that had partially fallen, but not fully fallen. Be interesting to see how these go, considering there's no spam to help them out. So,
and that's where comm control is going to come into this one. Each one of these units is ludicrously expensive, ludicrously slow, and unbacked up. All it's going to take is a single comm to take both those out if it is well controlled. Looking at the top left-hand side, though, the assimilator and demon push is well and truly rolling through. Unfortunately, nothing in this top left corner was here and available to take it on. Couple of comments just saying that the 75 bonus might have been a little bit overkill. Unfortunately, it is incredibly hard to balance out the eco, because if you compare the bottom right hand corner that's going for a super APHIS to the top left that struggled to get its APHIS online full stop, it is a numbers game and a game of which players are in what spots. So we do our best for that one.
Yeah, it's always hard to tell, and honestly we've seen comebacks even at this stage of the game. If you get those APHIS reacting, exploding, it will be death to the Kings, but it is looking very healthy for them right now, so I'd be surprised if that happens. There weren't enough units at the start. I think if a lot of those players that went up to T2 stayed at T1 and just built the units, they really would have got a long way.
I also think that if there was a couple of energy storages so that commanders could be cloaked in relevant positions, I think the start of the game could have looked very, very different.
And just to say as well, we have tested out 75, we had tested out 80, and we've had Kings lose on all of those. So it really does come down to the players.
I definitely do think that Uzi does have a valid point. The assimilator is a ludicrously strong unit for its cost.
Oh yeah.
And that's why we're seeing so much of it as well. Almost all teams are going for are trying to go for mass assimilators.
Tom is going into the demons. I do like demons in the King of the Hill because they are better at cleaning up commanders that get in their path. Being one of the best defensive units, the commanders really are the threat of taking out T3, and you can just attack ground, hitting that S key or Y key if you're on the legacy keys to attack ground ahead of where they're walking will take out the commanders if you know roughly where they are.
Thing is, if you've got enough of them, as soon as a commander appears, it has to be visible for a little bit. Yeah. If you've got enough of them, they'll go pop.
And that's where having those 107 commanders is really useful. You just have to trade efficiently. If one commander is going down and taking 20,000 metal with it, the kings are going to have a really hard time building up forces. Like this Barbie commander right here, up to 6 kills on these assimilators. That is a 100% worthwhile trade right there.
Now the bottom lane's getting raided. Amir with all his assimilators went in just defensively. This is where I think you're right again. It's a losing battle. If he just took them straight in where the ticks were going and like kind of went along that lane up through there, I mean, he probably can't see it. I'll just select player view. Can we see where the eco? You can see the eco there. So yeah, that's a path could have taken with that amount of assimilators. All it takes is one to get in there and pop one APHIS, and that's an entire lane that's fallen. You really want to just go for those ecos rather than the units.
Very much so. And one of the biggest things about the Kings versus Peasants matchup, the Kings really do live and die based on one lane. If a single lane falls hard, it can completely destroy the Kings. So the Peasants do have many opportunities to take out the Kings, but in this situation the Kings have just played very well, used the units they have available to them, and balanced the right amount of eco versus units.
It's good seeing Kings win. They lose most of them.
Yeah, it's been getting harder and harder to win these.
Yeah, it comes down to just if Peasants build units, they win. They win early. We had a 15-minute game. That means, considering there's a 10-minute no rush, there was only 5 minutes of gameplay last week, and that was just getting out those T1 units and attacking every lane at once. Or actually, no, it was all focused on one area, or most of it anyway, but putting the pressure on every lane. So many commanders not masked, not cloaked, and just going down as soon as these assimilators see them with that massive range of, what is it, 766.
That is 100% the truth. If you do not have your commanders cloaked, you're going to be in big trouble. You just cannot possibly hope to hold these entrances without a tiny bit of commander micro.
We got Titans now coming out of Mazda down south. There's no more Kings down there as well to defend. The last one just going down. One's coming in range. Managed to degun one, but the next 6 or so are just there to clean everything up along with those snipers. Instant shooting anything that shows its face. In a normal PvP game, I can see where these assimilators, they don't do heaps of damage. They won't be as good. But King of the Hill, they just too OP. And can we see this epic fusion here?
They're a unit that scales harder with numbers. One assimilator is not a big deal, but 10 assimilators is significantly more of a big deal than 10 individual assimilators. That massed fire, the long range, very, very strong here. The Peasants did manage to get one of the epic fusion reactors up in the top right. Unfortunately, though, the resources that went into that have not gone into units, and so we're in a position with all of these assimilators coming up to try and fight it. They have seen the epic fusion, and this isn't normal Raptor Crater. The fusion is not on the high ground, it is on the low ground. That is all she wrote for the entirety of this corner from that one explosion. I do love the attempt of getting one up. Unfortunately, just too much pressure applied.
There you going, Tom, in the bottom left.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Those demons still pushing, but now we've got a bulwark up, a couple of commanders there. Epic Kargi's coming over the edge. I like it, but they're all bunched up. You want to spread them out like you were doing with the demons, keeping them well apart. I say that as you just get 3 degunned in a row. What are you doing, Tom?
I took out the commander. They did their job.
One of them could have done that. And
Blues.
Blues just taking
my God.
multiple epic Kargis. You need to split those up, Ormont.
And this is what we're talking about using those comms correctly. This comm, even though it's only got 3 kills, this comm has gotten... How much are those epic Kargis? Those epic Kargis are 12,000, so 36,000 metals worth of damage out of a single comm. And that's where the more experienced players who tend to be in the back line need to be on the front line to try and hold some of these positions and prevent the mass intrusion. If the Kings had been able to hold even for a couple of minutes at the ramp that fell initially, I think we would have seen quite a different game.
This looks like game over for the bottom left. The last comm just going down. We've got Jugs, Kargis, Demons, Titans, all the juicy stuff marching into those last Aphises. I reckon we're going to be onto the tick game pretty shortly. That's coming up next.
I think that might be, in fact, what is coming up next. But we will see. We're always a little bit in the dark on these events, just here as a voice in your ear, and we've got Nightmare to take care of a lot of that other side of things. The bottom left side finally falling. It was the first one to be assaulted, and it has done absolutely amazingly well to stay alive and to keep some of these players occupied, but unfortunately has finally made its way down, and now we have the large scale push trying to move its way up into this into the top right hand corner. Plenty of defenses here, but the eco just isn't there to try and stop this push. There is 2,000 metal income left on the map for the peasants, and it is going to go down nice and quickly with all of Tank Tom's demons just roasting their way through. I take it that you decided that it was time to end this one, Tank Tom?
No, it was that I realized that I had a whole bunch sitting in my base and went, well, off we go.
There you go, heard it from his mouth first. He's been building up for this one strategy, and it is now time to execute with his unstoppable doom fire. 100% intentional and absolutely not coincidental.
The ants go marching 36 by 36, hurrah. That's a lot of demons. I've actually been singing that song a lot to my daughter lately. Gets her to sleep.
Sure thing, Nightmare, if you want to go those big booms. Let's see those big booms. The peasants have done a great job of holding out, but with the full might of the Kings bearing down upon them, this game is not for much longer.
Yeah, if you want to see the world's fastest volcano formed, you might see it shortly. Well, there we go, just off my screen.
There we go. And I do believe that they'll start falling down on a couple of the other commanders as time goes on.
I've been asked in chat what was that. That is getting on to the next game quicker, because this is the inevitable.
Yes. Once the game is over, particularly at these events, it is worthwhile just moving forward on to the next one.
That's huge.
I think if I was a peasant in the top right, I'd just be doing Control D. Take control of my own destiny.
Look, I don't think I could do that, because I'd want the nuke to fall on me.
At this point, it's the matter of like 30 seconds or so.
There we go. We do have a rolling bomb right next to 444. So that thing, if that detonates, it should do its job nicely and create another crater.
Whose is that?
Run!
It's just sitting there. It's slowly being eaten.
Dear.
444, I dare you to degun it.
Do it. Degun the rolling bomb. Tank Tom, you've got demons coming up there. Attack the rolling bomb.
Yeah, I'm basically looking to see where it comes up.
No, not free metal. Not free metal. Attack it, Tom. It nearly... Just keep going. No.
22%.
No.
It's okay. There's another few there.
There's many. There's many. Get him, Tom. Get him, Tom. Attack the... Yes. Yes.
Just the rolling bomb. Don't worry about anything else.
I didn't even see the rolling bomb in the end. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
I think we got it.
All right. Nice work, everyone. Good job by the Kings. The assimilator play was definitely the way to go. And hopefully in the next one, we will see some more... D-guns in the early stages of the game.